This is the installation guide for the Nexatech job application portal. So for this guide, we will have two different approaches. So the first one is by using Git or GitHub Desktop, and the second approach is to download the whole repository and set up using the Visual Studio Code. So for the first approach, we will clone this repo using the GitHub Desktop. So for that, we'll need to click this Open with GitHub Desktop. After cloning the repo, we will need to open the directory. So for that, we need to click this, right-click on this, and open in Visual Studio Code. Once you're done, we need to install the necessary dependencies. So to do that, we need to have the terminal. So open new terminal and type pip install space /r space requirements.txt. So if you have any issues when installing these requirements, you can just click the requirements.txt and install this manually. For example, pip install tk or pip install tk calendar. And lastly, pip install MySQL connector -python. Right? So once you're done installing the necessary dependencies, we will need to set up the database. So for that, you need to open the nexatech.sql file. So we can copy this SQL file to our preferred command line, or we can just open the MySQL workbench. We can simply run the MySQL workbench application and import the file here. So highlight all and then execute this file. So if there are no any issues, we can just refresh this and check the tables one by one. After that, we need to modify the config file. So head over to our Visual Studio Code and find the config.py. It's inside the folder Nexatech app. So you can modify the config file depending on your configuration. So once you're done, we need to install the fonts. So head over to the fonts folder inside the assets and reveal in File Explorer. Install these fonts. After that, you can run the application. Press the application.bat and then run the application. For this second approach, if you don't have Git or GitHub installed in your computer, you can just download the code, extract the zip, open this folder inside the VS Code. After that, we need to open the terminal. So for this step, we need to install the necessary dependencies. For that, we need to type the pip install /r requirements.txt. If there are any issues during the installation, you can just click the requirements.txt and install this tree manually. So for example, pip install tk, pip install tk calendar, or pip install MySQL connector /python. After that, we need to set up the database. So for that, we need to open the MySQL file inside this SQL folder, the nexatech.sql folder or file. You can copy this code and run it to your preferred MySQL command line, or we can just open the MySQL workbench. We can import the file here, nexatech.sql, and then execute the whole code. So once you're done, we can just refresh the database and check the tables. So we need to check the tables one by one if there are any content. After that, we need to modify the config file. So the config file is inside the Nexatech app folder. So you can modify the config file depending on your configuration. So after that, we need to install the fonts. So head over to the folder, inside Assets folder, Font, and install these fonts. After that, we can now run the application. Go back to the root folder, double-click the application.bat, and the application will appear.